Hey everyone, this is part 2 of the day discussion of daily MCQs. We'll be continuing with the video now. So we'll go for the next question, question 13. In context of parliamentary committees, consider the following statements. Indian constitution does mention about these committees. Second statement, these are established to deal with various matters that cannot be directly handled by the legislature. Option A, one only, option B, two only, option C, both one and two, and option D, neither one nor two. So Indian constitution doesn't mention about these committees. Yes, the Indian constitution does mention about these committees known as the standing committees and the ad hoc committees. So as you learn about your polity syllabus, as you learn about the legislature, you will be definitely learning about these committees. So it is a part of a static part of your syllabus and you will be covering them in the later times. Second statement, they are established to deal with various matters that cannot be directly handled by the legislature. Yes, any issues which need a bit more in-depth examination, which the legislator cannot do directly, is usually given to these committees. So keeping this in mind, I would say that both the statements are correct and the right answer is option C. We'll go for the explanation. Indian constitution mentions two kinds of parliamentary committees, which is the standing committee and the ad hoc committee. Any subject related to these committees is dealt with Article 1181 of the Indian constitution. The statement 2 is also correct. The parliamentary committees are established to study and deal with various matters that cannot be directly handled by the legislature due to their volume. They also monitor the function of the executive branch of the government. So that is for the first question. We'll go for the next question. Now, there's a bit of a more explanation for the previous question. There's a stand, like I told you, there are in parliamentary committees, there's the ad hoc committee and there's this permanent committee or the standing committee. And the former committees or the standing committee is known as the elected or appointed periodically, and they work on a continuous basis, whereas the ad hoc committees are created for a specific purpose and they are dissolved after their purpose has been achieved. So that is for the previous question, a previous explanation. We'll go for the next question. In context of the Press Council of India, consider the following statements. Statement 1, it is a non-statutory body. Statement 2, it is the self-regulatory watchdog of the press in India. 3, it accepts complaints against and by the press in matters relating to a journalist or media organization's ethical failures. Select the correct answer. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, all of the above. That is how it goes. First statement, it is a non-statutory body. No, Press Council of India Act has been passed by the Parliament and it is a statutory body. It's a very important statutory body. We'll be learning about it under the polity syllabus. So the first statement is wrong. Keeping that in mind, the only option left is option B, 2 and 3 only. Automatically that becomes true. So we'll go for the explanation. The answer is B. The statement 1 is not correct because the Press Council of India is a statutory adjudicating organization in India formed in 1966 by the Parliament. It is a self-regulatory watchdog of the press, for the press and by the press, that operates under the Press Council Act of 1978. It has a chairman. Traditionally, it's a retired Supreme Court judge who acts as the chairman of the Press Council of India, and 28 additional members, out of which 20 members are members of media nominated by the newspapers, television channels, and other media outlets operating in India. In the 28-member council, 5 are members of the lower house of the Lok Sabha and the upper house of the Rajya Sabha, and 3 represent the cultural, literary and legal field as nominees of Sahitya Academy, University Grants Commission and the Bar Council of India. So that is for the explanation. We'll go for the next question. The Press Council of India accepts complaints against and by the press in matters relating to the, as it was said in the question itself, the third statement is also correct. Go for the next question. What is NGZ 3895 sometimes seen in news? A, spiral galaxy, B, indigenous howitzer gun, C, carcinogenic gas, and D, biofortified variety of wheat. Very difficult question because it's an ABC type of question. There is nothing to extrapolate, no logic to use, no tricks or techniques you can identify to get your answer. Very difficult. You know it, you by heart it. What is NGC 3895? It is a spiral galaxy. There are other things, but just know it is a spiral galaxy. We'll go for the explanation. NASA's Hubble telescope released an image of a spiral galaxy, the NGC 3895, that in color and shape resembles a coffee made by a barista. So NGC 3895 is a galaxy which is spiral in nature and looks similar to a coffee made by a barista. So it was recently there in the news, and this question has been asked based upon that news which is present in the newspaper. So we'll go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the Delimitation Commission. Option 1, statement 1, it is appointed by the President of India. 2, its orders have the force of law and cannot be called in question before any court. 3. The union government sets up a delimitation commission after every 5 years. Which of the following statements are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only, option B, 2 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, all of the above. So what is the correct answer? It is appointed by the President of India. Yes, the delimitation commission is appointed by the President of India. Its orders have the force of law and cannot be called in question before any court. Yes, that is absolutely right. These parts again, I would like to say again that this will be covered as part of your polity syllabus, and you will be learning about the delimitation commission and other bodies. The option C, the union government sets up a delimitation commission after every 5 years. No, it is not set up by the government during every 5 years. Rather, it is set up by an act of parliament. So the third statement is absolutely wrong. Keeping that in mind, it can be either, it is option A seems to be the correct answer. We'll go for the explanation. Answer is A. The statement 1 is correct because the delimitation commission is appointed by the President of India and it works in collaboration with the Election Commission of India. Statement 2 is correct. The delimitation commission in India is a high power body whose orders have the force of law and cannot be called in question before any court. The statement 3 is not correct because the government has set up a delimitation commission for 4 times 1952, 1963, 1973 and 2002 under the acts of 1952, 1962, 1972 and 2002. There was no delimitation after the 1981 and the 1991 census. That is there for this question. We'll go for the next question. In context of Financial Stability and Development Council or the FSDC, consider the following statements. It is a statutory body. It is chaired by the Governor of Reserve Bank of India and the Raghuram Rajan Committee on Financial Sector Reforms recommended for the creation of the FSDC. Select the correct answer. Option A, 1 and 2 only. Option B, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 3 only. And option D, all of the above. This question, Financial Stability and Development Council. This council has been there in the news recently. So one clear thing which is mentioned in the news is the chairman is not the governor of the RBA, but rather the Union Finance Minister. Keep that in mind. Eliminate option 2. You get just one answer, which is option C, which is 3 only. So it is a statutory body. No, it is not a statutory body. It's just an executive body. We'll go for the explanation to get more details about it. The statement 1 is not correct because it is a non-statutory apex council under the Ministry of Finance constituted by the executive order of Union Government in 2010. The statement 2 is also not correct because it is chaired by the Union Finance Minister and its members are the Governor of the RBA, the Finance Secretary and the Secretary of the Department of Economic Affairs, the Secretary of the Department of Financial Services, the Chief Economic Advisor of Ministry of Finance, Chairman of SEBI, Chairman of IRDA, the Chairman of PFRDA, and it also includes the Chairman of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. So these are the major members who are involved with the Financial Stability and Development Council. But the third statement is correct because this has one more thing to be noted is another member of this council is the Secretary of MeitY. Third statement is correct because the Raghuram Rajan Committee of 2008 had actually recommended the financial sector reforms through the creation of the FSDC. That is all for this question. We'll go for the next question. In context of open source software, consider the following statements. The intellectual property rights, the IPR of these softwares, even if bought or licensed, remains with the creator. Second statement, open source coding of Arogya Setu will promote transparency and ensure security and integrity of the app. Choose the correct answer. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both 1 and 2. Option D, neither 1 nor 2. Now, open source software, the word itself says it's open and it can be used by all. But whereas the first statement does not give that meaning. For example, the IPR of these softwares, even if bought or licensed, remains with the creator. Then to say that it is an open source software is highly difficult because it does not match with what has been asked in the question. So keeping that in mind, you can eliminate option 1. Then the only options left for you is option B, 2 only, or option D, neither 1 nor 2. We managed to make a 50-50 choice. It's either 2 only or option D, neither 1 or 2. Arogya Setu. Open source coding of Arogya Setu will promote transparency and ensure security and integrity of the app. Yes, it is quite possible. Since it's available for people to examine, any loopholes or anything can be pointed out by the people and that can be removed, resulting in better transparency and integrity on trust on the Arogya Setu app. So we'll go for the explanation. The correct answer is option B. The statement 1 is not correct because the software can be divided into 2 broad categories, which is the proprietary software and the open source software. Any software that has to be bought or licensed from the creator of the company is known as a proprietary source software or a closed source software. Example, Adobe Photoshop, Microsoft Windows, Google Earth, etc. and the intellectual property rights of the software, even if bought or licensed, remain with the creator. And open source software, whereas require no licensing and need not be bought, it is open for all to download, examine, redistribute, and even improve upon. Examples are WordPress, VLC Media Player, and the Mozilla browser. We'll go for the second statement. When launching the app on April 2nd, the IT Ministry had explicitly mentioned in the terms of use that no one was allowed to reverse engineer the app or alter with the coding of the app. And while the source code was released on Tuesday, the main aim was to ensure, promote transparency and ensure security and integrity of the app. And it was released with the government's policy on adoption of open source software for the government of India. So this is the explanation, just read through it. This should help you understand about what is open source software and how the Aarogya Setu is also related to it. We'll go for the next question. Consider the following statements about heat waves. First statement, it is considered as a natural disaster under the National Disaster Management Act of 2005. Second statement, shifting of jet streams and El Nino and La Nina are possible factors responsible for heat waves. Select the correct answer. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option D, neither 1 nor 2. It is considered as a natural disaster under the NDMA of 2005. No, heat waves are not considered to be a natural disaster. So, it does not come under the list given under the NDMA. So, you can eliminate option 1. So, it's either option B, 2 only, or option D, neither 1 nor 2. Shifting of jet streams and El Nino and La Nina are possible factors? Yes, it is quite possible. El Nino, La Nina can aggravate or bring about more heat waves, and the shifting of jet streams can increase the formation of conditions which are similar to a heat wave. So option B seems highly correct, and which is option 2 only seems correct. Go for the explanation. The answer is B. The statement 1 is not correct because the National Disaster Management Act of 2005 and the National Policy on Disaster Management of 2009 do not consider the heat wave to be a natural disaster or a natural calamity. It is not notified in the list of 12 disasters eligible for relief through national and state disaster relief funds. Whereas the statement 2 is correct because the possible factors responsible for heat waves include shifting of jet streams, El Nino, La Nina, and anthropogenic factors like heat islands, etc. That is for this question. We'll go for the next question. What is Mission Sagar, sometimes seen in the news? A, mission to safeguard national interest in Indian Ocean. B, assistance mission for island countries of the Western Indian Ocean. Option C, initiative to harness benefits of blue economy. Option D, assistance to friendly foreign countries in building their maritime security. Again, this question, highly difficult. It's an ABCD type of question. It's very hard for a common person to identify which belongs to the which because all of them have relation with Mission Sagar. The terms seem familiar. All of the options seem familiar with the term Sagar. So to make a qualitative analysis and understand what is the relation between them is going to be really hard. So in such questions, if you have a factual knowledge, it will definitely help. If you have read the newspaper, you will understand it is an assistance mission for island countries of the Western Indian Ocean, which India has been performing. So we'll go for the explanation. The correct answer is option B. And as part of Mission Sagar, Indian naval ship Kesari entered the port Antsirana of Madagascar on 27 May of 2020. The government of India in these difficult times is providing assistance to the friendly foreign countries in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. And towards the same, INS Kesari carried out a consignment of COVID-related essential medicines for the people of Madagascar. This is the first time that a single assistance mission is covering all island countries of the Western Indian Ocean in one go except for Sri Lanka, for which a second set of medicines have already been airlifted. So this focuses upon all the island nations of the Western Indian Ocean, which India has been helping out during this COVID pandemic. So keep that in mind. Mission Sagar, COVID-19 pandemic, Western Indian Ocean. This is the explanation for this question. We'll go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the Solicitor General of India. Statement 1, he is the highest law officer in the country. Statement 2, he is appointed for a period of 3 years by the appointment committee of the cabinet chaired by the Prime Minister. And option 3, statement 3, he has the right to participate in the proceedings of Parliament but cannot vote. Select the correct answer. Option A, 1 and 2 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, 1 and 3 only. Option D, all of the above. This question is actually really easy if one understands the polity syllabus and one has gone through the basic basic positions which are present in the government. The Attorney General is the highest law officer serving in the country. So keeping that in mind, it is not the Solicitor General but the Attorney General, and the Solicitor General actually assists the Attorney General. So the first statement itself is wrong. You eliminate the first statement. Option B, 2 only is absolutely correct. You can go for the explanation. The answer is B. Statement 1 is not correct because the Solicitor General is the second highest law officer in the country and he is subordinate to the Attorney General of India, the highest law officer, and actually works under him. The statement 2 is correct because the Solicitor General is appointed for a period of 3 years by the Appointment Committee of the Cabinet, chaired by the Prime Minister. The statement 3 is not correct because the Attorney General has the right to participate in the proceedings of the Parliament but cannot vote. But the Solicitor General and the Additional Solicitor Generals do not have these rights to participate in Parliament proceeding. So that is for the explanation. We can look at the next question. In context of the marginal cost of funds based lending rate, or the MCLR, consider the following statements. It is the minimum interest rate that a bank can lend at. Second, it is determined by the RBI. 3, it is calculated based on the marginal carry cost of funds, negative carry on account of CRR or cash reserve ratio, operating costs, and tenor premium. Choose the correct code. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, all of the above. So MCLR has been present in our it's a common part of the economy syllabus. It has been mentioned very few times, many times actually in the newspaper with regards to lending rates, and it's linked with the credit rate of the country with the repo rates. At the same time, it can be difficult for someone who is not very familiar with it to identify it. One thing you can identify it is the first statement is actually correct. It is the minimum interest rate that a bank can lend at. But the second statement, it is determined by the Reserve Bank of India. No, it is not determined by the Reserve Bank of India, but it is determined by the individual banks itself on what is the MCLR rate to be at which they give their lending operations do. So keeping that in mind, you can remove option 2. What happens is option A, 1 only, and option C, 1 and 3 alone is the only ones which remain. So we managed to make a 50-50 elimination. It is not determined by the RBI, but rather it is determined by the individual banks themselves. Now, the key question is, what about statement 3? Is this right? Yes, it is calculated based on MCA, marginal cost of funds, negative carry on account of CRR, tenor premium, and the operating costs. So the correct answer is option C, 1 and 3 only. We'll go for the explanation. Statement 1 is correct. The marginal cost of funds based lending rate, or the MCLR, is the minimum interest rate that a bank can lend at. The statement 2 is not correct because it is a tenor linked internal benchmark, which means that the rate is determined internally by the bank depending upon the period left for the repayment of a loan. The statement 3 is also correct because it is actually linked to the actual deposit rates and it's calculated based on 4 components: the marginal cost of funds, negative carry on account of CRR, operating costs, and tenor premium. That is all for this question. We'll go for the next one. In context of Quad grouping, consider the following statements. It is a group of 4 countries, that is Brazil, Germany, India, and Japan. Second statement, its objective is to ensure and support a free, open, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. Select the correct answer. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option D, neither 1 nor 2. Quad grouping does not have these 4 countries. Brazil, Germany, India, and Japan do not belong to the Quad grouping, but rather they belong to the G4. These are the countries which are aiming to get a permanent seat in the UN Security Council. So Brazil, Germany, India, and Japan are a group of 4 countries known referred to as the G4. The Quad grouping refers to 4 countries known as India, USA, New Zealand, and Japan and Australia. So that is the Quad 4. You can eliminate Quad grouping. You can eliminate option 1. The second statement is absolutely right. That is the core idea behind Quad grouping. So the correct answer is option B, 2 only. We go for the explanation. Statement 1 is not correct because G4 is a group of 4 countries, Brazil, Germany, India, and Japan, which support each other's bid for permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. And Quad countries are India, US, Japan, and Australia. And the Quad grouping is the informal strategic dialogue between India, US, Japan, and Australia with a shared objective to ensure and support a free, open, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. So that is the idea behind Quad, and that is the idea behind G4. Keep that in mind. We'll go for the next question. Which of the following minor forest produce items are included in the minimum support price list? 1. Johar rice. 2. Seed lac. 3. Tamarind seed. 4. Mushroom. 5. Bamboo brooms. Which of the above mentioned statements are correct? 1, 2, 4, and 5. 2, 4, and 5. 1, 3, and 4. And D, all of the above. Now, this list has been updated recently, and that is why this question has been asked in the news. So it may be hard for us to understand which of them are presently present. And but one thing you must look at is in the present COVID-19 scenario, the government has given maximum aid to the people, especially those who are in the tribal areas, to augment and supplement their income. So keeping that in logic in mind, it is quite possible that all of them will be given, all of them could be added to the minimum support price list of minor forest produce to ensure that the maximum benefit is given to the people who really need it. So the correct answer is option D, all of the above. And the Ministry of Tribal Affairs has actually announced an inclusion of 23 additional minor forest produce or MFP items in stipulation of the MSP under the centrally sponsored scheme titled as Mechanism for Marketing of Minor Forest Produce through Minimum Support Price and the Development of Value Chain of MFP. And they include the Van Tulsi seeds, Vanjira, mushroom, seedlac, tamarind seed, black rice, bamboo brooms and johar rice among others too. So this decision for enhancing the coverage from 50 to 73 items comes in view of the COVID-19 pandemic so that much needed support could be provided to the tribal minor forest produce gatherers. Go for the next question, which is the last question. The 8th schedule of Indian Constitution deals with 22 official languages of India. And the second statement, Hindi in Devanagari script is the national language in India. Select the correct answer. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both 1 and 2. And option D, neither 1 nor 2. 8th schedule does deal with languages of India. As you will be learning it as part of your polity syllabus, you will be looking at it. You will be learning about the different schedules. But one thing you must look at is it does not deal with the 22 official languages of India, but rather it deals with the 22 scheduled languages of India. That word is very, very important. It does not deal with the official languages, it deals with the scheduled languages. India has only 2 official languages. One is English with the Roman script and the other is Hindi with Devanagari script. At the same time, India does not have any, currently does not have any national language. So the correct answer would be option D. We'll go for the explanation. The 8th schedule of Indian Constitution deals with 22 scheduled languages in India. The statement 2 is not correct because there are 2 official languages in India, namely Hindi in Devanagari script and English in Roman script. And there are various official languages at the state and the union territory level, but there is no national language in India. So that is all for this video. I hope you all stay safe and stay healthy. This is Hippie Joy signing off. Thank you.